realistic black animals with watercolors can be quite challenging, especially if you are new to it. Trust me, I know from a personal experience. When painting a black animal in watercolor, are you struggling with creating depth in your painting, trying to make the black look natural, creating endless hard edges and fur that lacks softness? And then trying to paint every single hair and adding layer after layer, hoping that it will start to look more natural. And no matter what you do, your animal's still lacking in depth and the colors look muddy. Don't worry, I know what to do. I can teach you how to achieve a natural shade of black and add depth to your painting without overworking certain areas and avoid the colors to get muddy. The key to painting animals in watercolors is: number 1, use the wet on wet technique. Number 2, layer the object starting with undertones. And number 3, to mix colors mostly on the paper, not your palette. The wet on wet technique is very forgiving, allowing you to create a soft, smooth layer without having to work on every single hair and making the fur look soft and fluffy. Starting with undertones gives an object more depth, and mixing colors on the paper is the key to avoid muddy colors, but that's also the key to create natural shades of a color. My name is Raczynska and I'm a watercolor artist and teacher. I've been teaching watercolors since 2016 and I have taught thousands of people how to paint with watercolors. I am proud to say that I have over 500,000 of followers on all social media platforms. I also run 2 online schools, a part of Skillshare. As an experienced watercolor artist, I have even developed my own line of watercolor brushes. I have a lot of experience as a watercolor artist, especially with techniques such as wet on wet, lifting, and properly layering an object using undertones. Browns, indigo, there's my black. Grab it on the tip of your brush and then go right here, go back to the circle on the left and try to add some of that over your blue undertones. So these are our undertones. Now, when you apply this black, you're changing the ratio between water and paint, so it becomes thicker paint. Otherwise, things will spread too much. That was my finger right here. And I'm gonna grab a little bit of water, raw sienna, burnt sienna here, quinacridone red, raw umber. This is the ear area. I want a little more of that raw umber. And this is where I feel like it needs to be more reddish. So these are the yellows. I want to do the same thing on this side. And you want to have more like a milk-like ratio, because if you start with like a heavy cream, then things will dry super fast, okay? A little more of this reddish on this side. So you want these bluish undertones. You can see like thicker paint even there. I'm actually gonna dilute it a little more with water. This is the bluish areas where I want them to be. I don't need to necessarily go all the way here yet, but this is where the background is wet. So I have to keep reminding myself like I can't go too far out there. And the same thing here. So it is. If it feels like the paint is spreading too much, wipe your brush a little on a towel. So at the same time, it's like we see the highlights, right? So let's try to a little bit like stay away from the highlights. Just a little bit. I'm grabbing this thicker paint from my palette. So again, the idea is not to mix these colors on your palette. Try to let these colors to blend on the paper. So now you can see like so many different shades of blue, right? Don't worry about like splatters and stuff from a brush. That happens to me all the time, and trust me, if anything, it makes it prettier. So don't worry about that. And I'm gonna get really close. We will be also lifting colors, okay? So that's another thing we'll be doing. Now, I do want to go back toward the ears, make sure the ears are dark enough. But here, before I do that, let's just use some of the color I already have on my brush here. So actually, this is the chance to reshape the cat too. If you're using like a creamy paint, cream top-like ratio between water and paint. There you go. And I'm using this quill brush because I need the point. keep in mind, something like this, you just need to practice, okay? I wasn't painting like this right away. It took time, and a lot of practice, because it's about learning the techniques, the main core techniques, which are the wet on wet and lifting. So I actually ran out of color. I need to squeeze more of the Van Dyke Brown. If the brush feels too wet, which it did feel a little bit, then wipe your brush a little on a towel. Now at this point, find the darkest areas that you see over the cat.